Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another class. My name is Mimi, and today we're going to be talking about file manipulation in Python, using Python. So today, we're going to cover reading files with Python, writing files with Python, and we're going to do an exercise about that. So to kickstart this, we're going to define a file. So a file is a named location on a secondary storage media where data is permanently stored for later access. So we normally store data, or we store information in files so that we can easily have access to it later. And so this class is going to be more of a practical class. I'm going to also be explaining some of the concepts in files. So starting off, so in file manipulation, the first thing you want to do is that, okay, you have a file, a .txt file, and you might be wondering, okay, how do I start up? How am I going to be able to do some sort of manipulation to it? The first thing I'm going to do is open your file. So let me go to Visual Studio Code right now and show you an example. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it, let's call this submain.py. Sorry, submain.py. Okay, let's use this one instead, since that's amazing. Okay. So we have our submain.py. So we're going to start off with opening our file, and we have a file here which is story.txt. So we want to open it first off. So we're going to first of all we're going to define a variable here, and we're going to call this one open file, and this is going to equal to open. And we're going to add our file name here. So our file name here is story.txt. So we're going to do apostrophe dot slash story.txt. Then we are going to also define the access mode. It's not actually a requirement for you to do that, but I normally do that. So we have different access modes. We have write, we have append, and we have read. So I'm going to explain more on that later. So right now, since we want to read the file, we're going to write R here. So we can now print open file. Control S. Let's go to Windows PowerShell. Oh, let me use CMD. Go to coding. CD documents. CD coding. Okay, sorry about that. I changed this to PowerShell. So okay, let's get the link here. Good. So CD. Good. So we can run this now, Python submain.py. Good. So this is telling us that yes, such a file story.txt exists. So if once you see something like this is telling you that yes, your file exists. So we've opened it up and we can see the mode here. Access mode is read. So we want to read this file. So let's go back. So after we're done reading, we're going to read the file. We're going to make use of the read function. That will enable us to read the file. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Sorry about that. So we have open file. Okay, another way to open your file is also with the with method. So we have with open. And we can just copy this here. And we can now define the variable as open file. Let's call this open file again so that you won't be confused. Then we can, instead of us doing that, we can just do like this file is true. Let's save this. Let's go. So it's also telling this file is true. So you can open it with whichever method that you feel most comfortable with. So after we're done with that, the next thing we want to do is to read our file. So we're going to make use of the read function. So which is here. So let's try that. So we have open as open file. So let's read. So we're going to declare a new variable and let's say read let's say read file. And we're going to call this open file. So I'm going to use our variable here, open file dot read, and we're going to define the function here. So once we do that, you're going to see the output of the whole text. So we majorly use read to display to get what the data of the text. So we're going to print it out and you're going to see it. Good. So you can see this once upon a time. Yeah, so it displayed it for us. So let's continue. So after we're done reading, another thing we might want to do is split each sentence into words. So let's say we have a function. Let's erase this. Let's see this. So let's say we have a function that reads files. So we can put read file here, define our attribute file name. So it reads files, yes. And we also have a function that counts unique words, counts the number of times each word is called. So counts words. Good. So let's define this. So basically, this function basically deals with reading the files. So like what we did previously, we can use with open the file name, read as the access mode, then this variable here. Okay, let's indent this properly. Good. So yeah, that's good. Then let's work on the def counts. Let's work on how to count. So we have this function here, and let's define it inside the count word so that we can easily count the words in this function. So let's say we have something like text equals to read 5, and we can easily call it the same way we did dot story dot text. Good. So right now, if we print out this print text, and let's call this out count words. Let's Ctrl save. So if you notice something, it's going to print this out, yes. But we want to get the, what they call it, we want to get the words individually. So we're going to make use of this method. So what we're going to do is, like I said, yeah, we're going to split each sentence into words. So we're going to make use of the dot split method. So we're going to, let's create a new variable, and we can call this split text. And we're going to do text dot split. Okay, so we can print this out. So we can do print split text. Oh, okay. So we're going to split it. Yes, split text equals to that. So what seems to be the matter? Read file. So let's return read file. Let's try this again. Oh, it's loading. Good. So it split our text for us, so you can see each individual word. Once upon a time, yeah. So it splits each of them and puts it inside a list. So we have gotten our split word. So good. So now we have gotten our split word. So what's the next step? Our next step is to create a dictionary that we're going to store each and every one of the values inside there. So let's continue. So let's comment this out. I don't want this to show again. So we're going to create an empty dictionary here. Count equals to open bracket. This is an empty dictionary. So after we're done creating an empty dictionary, the next thing I defined that we're going to use is a for loop. So we're going to basically use a for loop to iterate each and every over every item in the list. So it's going to look at every item in the list and put it inside the dictionary, and you also check, it's going to store it inside the dictionary and to check how many times the word has occurred. So count. So for I in our list here in split text, for I in split text, we're not going to make reference to our dictionary. So if I in count, so basically we're checking whether this is in this. So if it is in it, count, open brackets, I, that's getting the exact word that it is. So I plus equals to 1. And else, if it isn't, then what do? We just simply do count equals to I, which count I equals to 1, sorry. So that means that this basically states that if I in count, if this number has occurred before, if this word has occurred before, add 1 to it. Else, if it hasn't occurred before, just leave it as 1. Okay, so let's try and run this. So, yep. So, yeah, so we also forgot to return this. So for I in split text, yes. If I in count, yes. So let's return this. Let's make a return statement here. Return count. So we want to see whether this actually works. And this is it. Let's try. Okay. Oh, I forgot to print out my function. Print. Good. Sorry. Good. So we can see that once occurs once in this text, and we can see that upon also occurs once. We can see A occurs 5 times, time occurs once, psychology equals once. So yes, so basically what we have done right now, we have done some sort of simple file manipulation that reads a file, checks how many words are there in the file, and it stores that inside the dictionary. So I'm also going to show you how to, for example, let's say I want to write to my file. So I actually talked about access mode. So we have the write access mode, which allows you as a programmer to write to a file. We also talked about the append, which allows you to write upon an existing file. So if there's something else inside that file, you can easily write, oh, okay, let's say we have I am a boy that is already inside that file. We can easily write that's true and to easily append them. We have talked about read, which we just did now, a practical about that. So I'm going to go into write and append. Let me see. So let's go. So when you're writing a file, the first thing you must note is that when you write a file, you're going to create, like, you're basically creating a new file. So if you have any previous document or a previous file that you have and you think, okay, let me just add something new to it, well, sorry, because that won't work, because whatever you add new to your while you're writing, it's going to override whatever has been written previously. So let me show you an example of that. So let me erase this. Let's erase this. So let's say, okay, we have story text. So let's say we want to, okay, no, let's create a new .txt. So let's say we have new file will equal to, like I said earlier on, we still make use of the open, no matter whether we're writing or appending, we always make use of the open. So let's define our new txt file. So let's call this zuri.txt. And like I said earlier on, the access mode tells you exactly what you want to happen in the file. So I want write. So write, so W signifies write. So we have write. Let me comment this out so you guys can see. Write equals to W. You also have read, like what I did earlier, equals to R. We have append equals to A. So now let's continue. So we have open zuri.txt.w access mode write. So basically this is going to check whether, like I said earlier on, whether this txt file exists. If it does exist, then it's going to give us that text I showed you, the handle. But the W, in the W method, if it doesn't exist, you automatically create this file. So right now I do not have any zuri.txt file on my laptop. So this file is going to be automatically be created because I'm making use of the right access mode. So let's go. Print new file. Good. So let's try this out. Why is this not working? Good. So good. So this has automatically created the zuri.txt file. And right now, let me look for this on my phone. Zuri.txt documents. Oh, where did you save this thing? Okay. Let me read this file so that you can easily see that it's empty. So like I said earlier, I'll make use of the width. Okay, what's wrong? Let me define a variable, simple variable. So let's say we have open file. We equal to what? Open. No, not open. We equal to new file dot read. So this is going to just not show anything. So print open file. Good. because we haven't put anything inside, so it's empty. So for us, so that's why it's showing this error, not readable val. So because we haven't put anything inside. So for us to be able to put something inside, we're going to make use of what? The write function. So we have the read function, we have the write function. So we're going to write into it. So let's do that. So we have um so let's do write file. And let's do like, hello, I am in Zuri training. And so what did I say we're going to make use of? We're going to make use of the write function. So let's say we'll now create another variable. So final doc, let's call this final doc equals to what? Final doc equals to what? Right. Oh. Mhm. So let's try this out. Good, so it showed us our output. And so I made use of the, so there's something else I forgot to say. So there's something I forgot to say. So why I made use of the close function is because, okay, I have the dot close, and if I don't close this thing, and let's say my laptop shuts down by itself or something happens to my laptop, I'm going to lose every data. So I'm going to lose this that I have here. So it's not going to show anymore. So that's why we make use of the close function. So let's say I want to append instead. So since we already have zero.text, or let me show you, show you the output now. So we have new zero.text. So let's read this. So let's say we want to read now. So read file. We equal to what? New file dot read. So now let's print this out. Read file. Okay, because I've closed it. So let me do this from the beginning. Change this to R. So you can see I created a file, a new.txt, and it's showing, hello, I'm in Zuri training. So that means it's working. So now let's say I want to append. So it's the same thing, A, the same way we wrote W. So it's going to be A. And let's say that's, hello, I'm in Zuri training. So let's say right now, hello, I am enjoying myself. So we are going to have what? So we're going to have what? Final doc equals to yes. We're going to write it again. I'm going to close and let's run this first. So let's erase this one. Control S. Okay, now let's what do you call it? let's read. So read. So let's read the file. And just Control Z, 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 Z. Control. Let's change this to R. So let's say new file dot read. And we're going to do write file. Good. So you can see he added this. So hello, I'm in Zuri training. Hello, I'm enjoying myself. So we can add multiple sentences to our file if we want to. So let me look at the questions. So I'm seeing a question in the loop for I in split text. Yes, what does I stand for? So I is standing for a variable. So if we have something like for I in, let's say X, though I'm not defining X, let's say X, let's define X equals to what? You, me, and let's go, she. So basically this I is basically storing all of the values here in this list. And it's when we, if we do something like, okay, count equals to 0, let's say we want to count through all of them. So I is storing the value for this, and we can, and it's going to like store each of them 1, 2, 3 after the other. So we can have like count equals to what plus equals to 1. I mean, we're adding 1 every time I stores this value. And let's say we print it out. So print I. So I'm going to do something like this. So you can see you, me, she. So it's going to like store it, then print it out 1, 2, 3. So it's basically picking it out one after the other. Okay, any other question? Okay, let me see. Any other question? Okay. So let's say, okay, somebody's asking, can we combine the two functions together? Well, you can combine it together if you want to, but I think it will be better if it's separate because it will be easier for you to understand. But if you want us to combine both of them together, then we can definitely try that out. So def read file. Let's call this read file. Call this file name. Call this file name. Okay. And like I said earlier on, okay, I also forgot to mention something. Whenever you are opening a TXT file or any sort of file in Python, you either make sure that it is inside the directory where your Python file is in, or you reference it. But the best practice is to make sure it is where your Python file is. So if you check here, you can easily see that my .txt file is stored where my .py file is, and that way I can easily access it. If it is outside of there, then there will be a big problem and to throw me an error. I said we could append to a file. So what I mean by append is like, okay, that's what we call append. That's the append access mode. But when we write, we will like start from scratch, whatever we have written. But in the append mode, we are just basically adding to it. So for example, if we have I am, like what I showed previously, I am in Zuri, that was the first thing we wrote. Then I now change it to the append mode. And I say append mode is normally signified with the A. I changed that to, I now added hello, I'm enjoying myself. So you could easily see it printed out there. So is it possible? Yes, it's possible for you to replace a particular word in your file. You can easily replace any word you want in your file. We can even try that here too. So let's say this is our TXT file. And we have the word professor. I just want to take a word professor. Okay, now let's use once. So let's change this once to something. But before that, let me combine these two together. So like what I was saying, we have def read file. Okay, so we have def read file. And like I said, the first thing you want to do when you're opening your file, when you want to access your file, is to first of all make use of the open function. So, and when we make use of the open function, we're going to save it inside a variable. So let's put this as open file. We equal to what? Open function, open the txt file, which is dot story.txt. And what do we want to do? We want to make use of, we want to read this file. So we want to read this file, and what next? So I told you that we could do with another method, but I prefer sometimes using this method. So let's read this file. So we're going to make use of the read function. So open file, then we're going to do read file. Will equal to what? Open file. We're going to make reference of this open file dot read. And what happens next? We can easily print read file. Okay. Oh, I haven't called my function, sorry. So let's read file. And what file name do I want to read? This one. Definitely this one. And Control S. Good. So this is our file. Good, good, good. Now let's continue. So read file.txt. So yes, you printed it out. So let's comment this one out.
Hello. Hello, Mimi. We can't hear you.
Okay, hello everyone. Is this better?
We can hear you, but your voice is a little bit low.
Okay, okay. Is this better?
Yeah, it's sounding better.
Okay, let me share my screen. So I created a function. So I combined those two functions into one single function. So I called it read file and it's setting an attribute file name. So first things first, like I said earlier on, is of the open function, and it's going to open the txt file, which is story.txt, and it's going to read from it. That's the access mode R. Then I now define a new variable, read from it using the read function, but to read open bracket. Then after that, because when you do that, you notice that it doesn't give you each and every one of the words. It only gives you like a list um of the whole txt file. So I now use this this to speed up those sentences in Word, and I define it as new. Then I created an empty dictionary, equals to empty dictionary. And what I did next was make use of the function for I in new, and that it will cover each word, every word that is there. So if I in count, if I is in this count is dictionary, then what add one to it. Else, if it's not, then it's just going to be one. So I now return the value and I call the function. So let me show you the output here. So we can run this again. Good. So you can see the output here. So one support one time, one time, five times. So that's basically it. I think that's basically it. Let me see if there are any more questions. Okay, there seems to be no more questions. I think we can call this a wrap. So, okay, there's a new question. What do we do if our file is not stored in the same place as our Python file? So, okay, if you have a scenario like that, okay, let me create. If you have a scenario like that, what you do is that you go to your file explorer, then you click on here. Okay, so sorry about that. So I said that if your file is existing in another directory separate from your um so you can easily click on it. You can click on the file. So you click on the file, then you click copy, and it will give you the link of the place where your file is stored in. So we can copy it here. So let's copy. We've copied it. So we have copied it now. And we can go here, Ctrl V. Okay, copy. Copy it. Control V. Control C. Control V. Control V. Then also in Python, make sure to change the what do you call it? The slash to forward slash, not the backward slash. It won't read that way. So forward slash, forward slash, forward slash. Then we'll call our story text file here. Good. Then let's try this out. So Control S. Then we can run it here. So you see it's still working. So if any time that your Python file, your file exists outside of your directory, just copy it from the file explorer. Then make sure you reference the name of the file at the end here. Okay, any other question? Yes, you have to include the forward slash at the end in the path directory. Yes, is a must. So most of the time when your terminal flags you an error or shows you an error whereby your file name does not exist, that file name doesn't exist. First off, you look for the file name, then you reference it this way. Then another thing might be that maybe you do not have that file name is not on your system, so you have to either create it or download it. I think those are all of the questions. So basically today we have gone over file manipulation. You should be able to write, attend, and read files, and that's basically it. Are there any more questions? So that's basically a wrap of it. So you're able to handle file manipulation, read, write, and append files. So that's basically it.